Hello everybody, Tom Compton here again on Pursuing the Muse. Today we are in conversation with Nashville native Gabe Lee. Gabe is an award-winning songwriter, recently named Saving Country Music's 2023 Album of the Year winner for Drink the River. Known for crafting songs that blend country, folk, and rock, Lee is celebrated as a versatile performer and profound storyteller. Stay tuned to hear Gabe reveal the working title of his next album. He also details the unique experience of recording it in a haunted mansion in West Virginia. And he explains why heartbreak is an incredible motivator for any songwriter. So without further ado, here's Gabe.
Honey, it's not too late. Set a date with a magistrate. Save all that money for a house. Just you and me and a pawn shop ring. What a sight to see, you and me. And I can't drink the river to dry the land. Bury the ocean beneath the sand. But I can love until the tide pulls me under. Now I'm rusted. I've been running out of steam. Too many miles on these former tires and not enough gasoline. Man, I'm busted. Lord, I got a long way to go. Won't you send out an angel on patrol? Won't you save my soul?
Hello everybody, Tom Compton here again on Pursuing the Muse. This time I'm very, very excited. We have Gabe Lee with us. Gabe, how are you doing this evening?
Hey Tom, thanks for having me. Am I the muse that you're pursuing?
Today, the answer is firmly yes.
You get to be the muse today?
You do. I hope you're okay with that.
Yeah, I feel no, that's not bad. You know, I spent a lot of time chasing the muse as well. So it's nice to be chased instead of being the one chasing.
Excellent. I was telling some coworkers today that I was interviewing you, and I was like saying I had to be careful because I think you are such an amazing songwriter that I had to worry about going too much into fanboy mode. So if I get too far, you have to reel me back in.
Yeah. Just play it cool. I'm a normal songwriting genius like everybody else.
All right. So you have a new single out called Wedding Song. I love it. It's funny. It's heartfelt. It's all about the jitters of an impending marriage, and maybe eloping would be a better choice.
Uh-huh.
So is this a track that is giving the portents that there is a record that will be coming in the near future?
Yes and no. I am working on a new record, and the I'm not sure what else I will release. I've got a few, great fun side projects and collaborations with other songwriters and friends of mine in the scene that I think would be appropriate and great to throw out before I enter another record release cycle. From 2019 to 2023, I put out 4 records. So basically, a record a year, which is a really good clip. And it's expensive, yeah, and it's demanding, and basically, when you put out a record, you are on a release cycle for that whole year almost, right? That year becomes all about that record. So I was nonstop putting out records for even through 2020. I put out a record in 2020 and then got right back to it and in a couple years and put out another one, and then in 2023 I put out Drink the River. So very used to very I've learned a lot about the record making process, and I've decided since my last record in 2023 to spend more time in between releasing projects and getting the vibe right, like setting a tone, getting the songs down, having the opportunity to write the songs, and not only write them but play them out on the road and give them some real, touring experience, like the songs themselves, see how they do in front of different crowds in different towns. But being in between albums is a really freeing space to be, because you have the opportunity to work on fun collabs and put out silly, John Prine-esque songs like the wedding song, delve into things that have no additional pressure about whether whether it's a single pumping up the next record or not, So the wedding song is not part of an album release by any means. Does that mean it couldn't end on a record down the road? Absolutely not. I mean, I think it could. Absolutely. I think there will be a time in my life where that, chasing that John Prine legacy, songwriting style, storytelling style, will be way more prominent in my priorities. I think it's always there, but that wedding song specifically, it's just such a specific particular delivery. And it's lighthearted, like you said, it's fun. I think the next record that I'm working on, that is very close to done, actually, will be a little more somber and completely different sound from the Americana folk world. So there's something definitely to be excited about there. It's just whether or not I can get it all wrapped up, and put out in time. But next year, I do expect to put out a new record.
Cool. Yeah, you're doing it on your terms, and I applaud you for that.
For sure. That's so important too. I mean, most, I work around artists that have giant record label deals, who have the world at their fingertips and have so many resources. And then I work with folks who are completely independent and they have day jobs or they're bartenders or they're real estate agents or whatever it may be, and they're just trying to they're squirreling away funds and money and resources and using GoFundMe and Kickstarter to try and put together a next record or next EP or whatever. And so, it's a wide range of people in the scene trying to make it. And it doesn't, the money helps for sure. Having a label with backing is invaluable. But yeah, I mean, this next record, for me is a bit of a departure because I am doing it separate from the label I've worked with for 4 years and 4 records. We're 4 records deep with Torres Music Group, and I'm doing my best to fund it all myself, and continue to call my own shots on this particular record. So I think, the production wise, it will be not as clean as some of the stuff I've done in the past, because my past producers are exceptional listeners and are exceptional at arranging music, and they have managed to make all my records pretty clean, and that's a beautiful thing, especially on this like folk bluegrass record I put out, Drink the River, where you want pristine fiddle and mandolin sounds, pristine vocals. This next record will be a little grungier, and I hope people will accept that. Yeah, it brings its own little character, and man, it's nice you're spreading the wings. So will you be like the sole producer on the next record then? Yeah, I am, and I have this great team. I mean, I'm going to credit everyone as much as I can, but as someone as an artist who is definitely trying to, like you said, spread their wings in an artistic sense and create without having a label above you, or a producer a mentor that you're relying on or depending on, right? This is less of me wanting to break away from the label and more of me needing to fall a little bit and see what happens, see if my wings do kick in. Yeah, and I'm super excited. I think the songs are there. I think the stories are there. I think the theme is phenomenal, and I think it's a lot of these songs have lived on the road with me for several years now, which made going in and recording them very comfortable because I played them so many times. So yeah, there's another record coming. I don't know that I've announced it anywhere, and there won't be an official announcement for a while. But the working title is Brittle County, like brittle, dry, and easily breakable.
Peanut brittle.
Yeah, yeah, dessert. No, yeah, just kind of seemingly weak, brittle. Because there's a lot of topics and discussions about love in this record, and it's kind of unexpected love, right? It's love in instances of there's a story of a song that is on the record called Beverly, where the guy is singing and he's singing and he's singing. He's talking about running to his old friend, and they're talking about all their old triumphs and failures, and his friend keeps asking about Beverly, like, do you ever see Beverly? Like, do you ever see that chick? Remember that chick I used to date? And at the end of the song, he's like, the narrator, the singer, like the voice, he goes home and he says, hey, Beverly, you'll never guess who I ran into today. And just very unexpected nuances of how relationships and love can work out. And there's a story on there called The Last Time about a man, a wife who was experiencing physical abuse. There's a lot of interesting things on there. So Brittle County, it's like sometimes things that appear very strong, like love and trust, can be very brittle, like can shatter in a moment. And then also some things that appear very brittle can actually be very strong. Like someone who, is a victim, has been abused, and they find their footing and they gain their independence and they fight their way out of it, So yeah, Brittle County is the working theme on the next record, and we recorded it in a haunted mansion in West Virginia. So it's pretty nuts, and I got to do it with my band. That's the other thing. I got to go in and record with my players who've been on the road with me all these years, and that's way different than sitting down in a studio in Nashville and getting these elite A-class session guys that just just create a sound for you out of nothing. They
right,
which is magic. Like that's something that a lot of people don't get to experience. So that's incredible. But I had the opportunity to go out into this middle of nowhere town in West Virginia, and we set up mics in this old haunted mansion and we went to town. So we got 11 songs on that, and that'll be the upcoming project. There's nothing official yet, but you're first, I guess.
When the time is right.
Yeah.
And that's great. I mean, you with your band, you've got the chemistry. I mean, there's something to be said for the A-list studio guys in Nashville, but to have the bond with your band that knows you and your music and your timing, that's really special.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. And it's also very cool to live in the place you're recording for a week. So everybody's hunkered down in this house. My dobro player, her mother, is the caretaker of this house. She owned it for a couple of years. It is a landmark in Sistersville, West Virginia. It's like a historic mansion built 100 years ago. So
was it creepy, like sleeping in a haunted mansion?
We want it for a large old house. It was actually quite warm and friendly. We knew how to not piss off the ghosts. So we never made any attempts at riling her up. And then, because there was one specific thing that Helen, our host, and Lucia, my dobro player's mother, Helen, who's the caretaker of this house, there's one specific thing that she did a while back that pissed the ghost off, and we knew that not to do that. So we stayed out of certain places in the house, and we made friends with the spirit. We toasted her. We made sure she understood that we were just there to make some music in our house, and nobody felt haunted. But it is creepy. I mean, you get a house like that that's 100 years old. It's in Sistersville, West Virginia, in the middle of nowhere. It's a rundown town that's its glory days are lifetimes ago, and you have it's a house with 40 some odd rooms. So like in the corridors of that house when you're walking alone, it's creepy as fuck. But we knew how not to piss off the ghost, and we were very respectful. And I think we all benefited from it. I mean, it's a killer recording that we made. I basically brought an engineer from Nashville, and he brought like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of yards of cable and lined it up through the whole first floor of this house. So we did something extremely unique in the recording process, and also something that we may never be able to replicate again, because she's going to sell the house at some point next year. So it's not like we can just go back into that house and record it again. It's like a singular event, pretty much.
Right. Oh man, I can't wait to hear it. It's got
that also is cool.
It's very nice. So Gabe, tell me about how you got started songwriting. Go back to young Gabe.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think it starts like most songwriters and maybe poets, or people that end up becoming novelists, or write some kind of literature. I mean, there's always a muse at the beginning, whether you know it or not. And for most of us, it's that middle school, high school phase, and you're emo, and you're feeling all these emotions, and you get your heart broke, and you sit down and you channel your emotions through the few ways you know how. So my buddies and I were all blessed to grow up around a lot of great music. I mean, we grew up in Nashville, Tennessee, so we had friends whose parents were all phenomenal producers, had home studios. They were publishers, they were writers, session guys. So we were constantly surrounded by this lifeblood of music culture in Nashville, and probably took it for granted. Honestly, we had a few moments of clarity. When I was in high school, when I was like, man, like, looking at some of the gold records on my buddies' parents' walls in their house, we're just like, I'm like, man, like these guys are really badass. Like, they've done a lot in the industry that I knew nothing about at the time. My buddies and I were just playing old Leonard Skinner covers, for fun on the back porch. But we ended up kind of all learning how to write a little bit and wanting to write on our own. And we'd write songs and try to outdo each other with our lyrics and stuff. And heartbreak is an incredible motivator. Yeah, like having your first breakup in high school or middle school is huge, and that never stops, right? Even artists today, who are full-grown men and women, go through a divorce or whatever, and their life gets turned upside down, and they usually come out with something phenomenal after that, right?
Right.
So yeah, it all started in the bedroom with a guitar late at night, like it does with most people. I didn't play out until I came back to Nashville after college. During college, my buddies and I would busk on the street of our college town, but that was about it. It was towards the end of college when I felt that I had a message and a story to tell, and even then I didn't know where that was going. I didn't know what kind of direction my storytelling was going. I just knew I had a fondness for language and words and communication. So it really took being in the heart of Nashville as a songwriter, going out almost every night of the week to a different songwriter round, big or small, pop country or folk or bluegrass, seeing all of it to find a place, and then from there, chasing that, chasing that muse, like figuring out what your place is in the business. It was pretty obvious to me I wasn't going to go down that pop country route.
Mhm.
And so I gravitated towards, more poetic and literature, language storytelling driven kind of songwriting, which was great for me because I was always a big, reader and a writer. So that led to growth and, artist development through the label and my manager that I still work with to this day. And I hope that the songs continue to get better. I think they do. I think that the songs, even if I'm writing kind of the same type of song, that the energy and the language evolve over time and become better and better. That's my biggest hope when it comes to being a student of music.
Yes, I can definitely tell you from my perspective, the leap between Hometown Kid and Drink the River, the songs on Drink the River are just really, really beautiful. And not that there was any problem with Hometown Kid, but you kind of took it to a next level with storytelling and, oh man, just amazing songcraft. And let me tell you how I got into how Gabe Lee got on my radar. Where I remember, it's so weird. Like, there are certain artists that strike you when you first find them, that you remember where you were, and it happened to me. Like with you, I had Amazon Unlimited, Music Unlimited was my streaming service, and algorithms are never right. They're just never right with me. But I remember being in my car and I'm setting up my phone to put something on, and Amazon Music says, you might, from your taste, we think you might like Gabe Lee. And it recommended Hometown Kid to me. And I was just blown away, just absolutely blown away. Loved it. Loved the whole record. Rusty is like one of those perfect pop songs. It's an amazing record. And I'll go on to say that I was excited when Drink the River was announced, and I think Even Jesus Got the Blues was like a prelude single to it, and it is great. And then it came along, and I think I loved Hometown Kid so much that I was like, what is this stripped down, a more acoustic album that, at first it was like not resonating with my palate, but the very strength of the songs opened my eyes, because they're really different albums, but they're both so great. And my love for Hometown Kid made kind of an initial distaste to what the stripped down nature of Drink the River, but man, the songs are so good that I came around. So I'm all in.
Yeah, I think that leaping across, bridging that connection for a lot of listeners can be difficult sonically, because most listeners are going to expect what they're used to hearing from an artist. So that is one thing that I've played with a lot more than some of my contemporaries in the Americana folk world, because most of my buddies who are singer-songwriters and artists, their records are pretty. There's a theme in all the records sonically that's very recognizable, and if I have a theme, it's my voice, right, which is like a unique timbre, right, and then so I think people can hear one record to the next, even if they're really different thematically. They'll hear my voice. They say this might be a Gabe Lee song, and then second, it's the line, it's the thread of the stories, and and I can tell stories in honky-tonk songs, and I can tell stories in rock songs, and I can tell stories that are completely stripped back with, a mandolin or a fiddle or a banjo, right? So I have definitely bounced around and played around a lot more than most of my buddies sonically. And I think that has thrown some people off my scent a little bit, right? I think over time, people have been like, well, I really liked this from Gabe, but then the next record was so different that it was almost it was too different. I was expecting something more along the lines of what I fell in love with. My very first record was in 2019. It was completely acoustic, and then it was like me and a dobro and maybe some piano here and there, right? And then the second record, Honky Tonk Hell, was full blown organ, piano, electric guitar, like full band. It was insane. Third record, Hometown Kid, I wanted to smooth it out some more. So I went with more of that, like kind of like pop rock, like Killers, like, Killers country vibe, like almost Ryan Adams-y. And then I wanted to dial it back again, I never want to make the same record twice. Right?
Yeah.
And I've always loved bluegrass and kind of like gospel. So Drink the River was born from that. It was born from two records where I had a full rock band, spanning 3 years, and then on the last record that I put out, Drink the River, I was like, let's make use of these incredible string players we have in this town. So we had Jason Roller, who plays with the Opry Band. He's probably the best utility musician I've ever met in my life. Insane bluegrass picker. And then we had Eamon McLaughlin, who plays with Emmylou Harris and Rodney Crowell. You've probably heard of them.
Yeah.
He also plays in the Opry House Band. So those guys, as well as my personal players, Luciano, my dobro player, especially, helped create the more grassy sound of Drink the River, which I feel like, if I was to choose one, right, to settle in, I feel very at home with that more bluegrassy string band vibe. But when I get the opportunity to, step onto a bigger stage that pays me enough and requires me to play with a full rock band, it's so much fun. And the cool thing is, Tom, some of these songs, most of the songs, can live in both worlds. A lot of these songs can live in a souped up rock band world, and because my players and the musicians I work with can do it all, and then a lot of these songs can also be completely stripped out. I'll play acoustic versions of songs from Hometown Kid all the time. Like Rusty is a big one. Heart Don't Break. Heart Don't Break was the most recent record, but songs like Rusty or Honky Tonk Hell, like I'll play those out all the time, just broken down, me and a fiddle or me and a dobro, and it still works, because the most important thing is that thread, right? It's the thread of storytelling in between. So
Yeah, it's the strength of the song. I mean, it holds up to various, lights that you put on it. I mean, I saw you in September, and you opened with a solo acoustic version of Rusty, and it totally works because the song has the strength, man. The song is what is the thing. And
hell yeah.
So, yeah, that's great. I mean, and I love, in hindsight, I love what you're doing with moving to different worlds and showing different. I mean, it really highlights that you're such a great songwriter that you can work in all these worlds and pull it off.
Well, I think I think along with that, I'm still kind of, searching for the unique original sound that is unmistakably me. And folks can tap into my records, my last 4 records, and it's great to draw comparisons, right? It's amazing to draw comparisons to other great songwriters. When folks tell me I remind them of Prine a little bit. That's like one of the biggest compliments any songwriter could get, right? Mm-hmm. But I am. Artists have to develop beyond their influences in order to be original. And while it is extremely appropriate to be inspired by your influences, be inspired by your mentors and your heroes, to try to emulate them here and there in order to grow, like that's just part of the art. That everybody does that, not just in the music business. Like in sports or in business, like you learn from your mentors. You have to emulate them a little bit to figure out your own voice. So I do hope that this next record, it's not. People aren't going to listen and say, oh, that sounds like Isbell. Oh, that sounds like Prine. Oh, that sounds like Tyler Childers. Whatever the heck, I hope that I'm getting to the point to where when people tune in, they're like, this is completely original. And that is my goal as a songwriter for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, find the voice, and then to have it recognized, that's like icing on the cake.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Because there are moments where, like, if anyone asked who I thought your biggest influence was, I would say John Prine. I mean, like, the last song on Drink the River, Property Line, has like neighbors squabbling with each other. It's John Prine would smile to hear that song, but it's also, he wouldn't write that. He would write it different, but it'd be a great story, and you capture some of that humor. It's hard to do, and you're pulling it off.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I thank John Prine every day for his gift of music, and I've been close with his family. I've toured with his son. I played at Old Boy record events in town, in memoriam of John, and his legacy is extremely strong and powerful, and I think it'll last a very, very, very long time. And to tell you the truth, I mean, I listened to John Prine. I heard John Prine growing up. I didn't listen to John Prine growing up. I heard him because sitting on my buddy's back porch in the summers, learning guitar licks. His parents had a great music collection, so that's where I heard John Prine and Bob Dylan and Jim Croce and Paul Simon and Garfunkel and Southern rock. I mean, Lynyrd Skynyrd for days, right? Growing up in the South. But like, that's where I heard a lot of the folks that would end up influencing me down the road. But when I was a, snot-nosed, like 13-year-old kid, I didn't know what John Prine was singing about. I could listen to it and learn the songs and learn the chords, but this John Prine's one of those where you don't get it until you've lived enough.
Yes, you can't put that on as background music.
Yeah.
I think I was in high school when Jesus the Missing Years came out, and my buddy had it, and it threw me for a loop because it's brilliant, but you really got to pay attention. And
yeah. I mean, I closed a show the other day with Sam Stone. Just because I wanted to fuck with people, they were too happy. I needed to, remind them that it's a cold, cruel world out there. And sometimes, man, I'll play shows, and most of the crowd has never heard of John Prine. I'll say, I'll talk about John Prine, and I'll see looks on people's faces, and it's like an empty stare, and like, you guys have no idea who John Prine is? Nope, no clue. And I love that, because in those moments, I'm like, well, wait till you hear this, right?
Right.
And it gives me an opportunity, even though I'm a student of music, moments like that, I get to be an educator. Like, I'm not a huge music history buff by any means. I'm not. I couldn't tell you all of John Prine's, records. And, I have a lot of friends who, songwriting friends who, worship at the feet of Guy Clark and Towns, and Chris Starveston, all these guys. And I know this all to be true. I know them all to be greats, but I just, there's a lot of music that I haven't heard. And I'm just not like I wouldn't even call myself a John Prine buff. I'm a huge fan and I'm influenced by him, but it doesn't mean I'm like, I think as a songwriter, I think you have to, in order to be original, you have to still distance yourself from that a little bit.
Yeah.
To where you're not just the John Prine guy, right? Which is not something I would ever hope to be, despite his amazing legacy. Nobody else needs to be the John Prine guy, right? John Prine's the John Prine guy.
Right. John Prine is enough John Prine.
Yeah.
For everybody.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's awesome. And when I saw you, you were on stage. You had a really cool thing going on where you were touring with King Margo.
Yeah.
And you guys were like backing each other up, and it wasn't like a traditional opening act, headlining act. It was like I was shocked that you were out first, when I saw you, and it was really cool the way you guys worked it. How did that come about with your collaboration with King Margo?
Yeah, there's some of my close friends, and sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, that was it. Sorry.
You're good. I thought I cut you off. We call them the Margos, right? So it's a band called King Margo. It's a duo, and they're originally from the Midwest and from Michigan and Ohio, but they ended up in Nashville years ago, right? So they have this band called King Margo, a great duet. They can get very serious with their songs, and heartbreaking, and they can also have a lot of brevity and be light and fun and comical and have this like funny shtick, right? So these two ladies, they become some of my best friends, and then B, integral band members, right, in my touring band. So it works out great when King Margo, the duo, and Gabe Lee, myself, are able to set up shows together because they're in my band and I'm in their band, right? So especially when it's the trio, we all can hop on different instruments, right? Like I can hop on the piano or the guitar, and then Luciana can play dobro or guitar or percussion, as you probably saw. And then Rachel, the bass player, she can play bass, she can play guitar, she can play mando. So we all sing in 3-part harmony, right? So we all know each other's songs so well that we can just kind of fluidly move around. And instead of a hard opener, like you said, and hard opener and straight up headliner, we have more of a flow over 90 minutes than one person playing for 25 minutes and then another person playing for the rest, right? It opens it up, I think, more. It allows the stories to flow, especially because our vibes work great together. We've been doing it for so long. So oftentimes when I travel and I tour, if you don't see me with a full band, I'm most likely with a string band trio, like I just described, or just completely solo. It's expensive, man. It's expensive to tour. It's nuts because, the price of everything in the world has gone up. So, you factor in just the travel costs of gas and hotels and lodging and food and then you get to the venue and, the venue's costs have gone up, right? The venue's rent has gone up. The price of their bar, everything in their bar, stock in their bar has gone up. The price of tickets have gone up. But you know what doesn't go up is the compensation to the band. Right. That guarantee or that percentage is static. And so that's a difficult thing to overcome. You'll see every once in a while on the socials, you'll see, some band who's been doing it for their whole life, calling it quits or breaking it down, saying, "Hey, look, we'd love to tour more, but we just can't anymore." So that's a little terrifying, but determined and patient and just calculated kind of person, I look at the business and I think, well, if things are going to be more expensive to tour as a band, then I'm just gonna have to be more frugal. I'm gonna have to be more efficient, which has led the way to me playing a lot of solo acoustic shows and learning how to be a storyteller, learning how to command a room with just me, guitar, and a piano. Right? That is a troubadour lifestyle, and it's something that I would take that lifestyle and the skill of being a troubadour and harnessing the energy of a room, a listening room, I would take that over playing loud festivals with a band or playing loud bars with a band where nobody's listening. Having the opportunity to connect with 50 to 70 people directly in a room is so powerful, way more powerful than playing to 1,000 people. I've done both, and being able to tell your story one-on-one. When you're in a room with 70 people, it almost feels like you're talking one-on-one with every single person in the room, and that is amazing too. So all that to say, like, I'll play with the string band a lot, the trio with King Margo. They also have their own tours. You can find them playing everywhere as well. They have a kind of a residency up in Vermont every winter. They go up there and play in Killington, Vermont. They can be found at local festivals everywhere too. They get around for sure. But it's super ideal when I can travel with them and we have a whole run of shows together, to where it's just King Margo and Gabe Lee, or Gabe Lee and King Margo, and we just split everything 3 ways. It doesn't matter who's the headliner or not, right? We're just all in it together, traveling in our 2011 black Chevy van named Lowell, who is the love of our lives. Yeah. So, we make it work one way or the other.
It is creative, a way to do that in the economic environment. I haven't seen anyone do that where like the opener and the headline or whoever is just backing each other. I mean, it's great.
It's fun, and it keeps us. I've been doing it for 4 years, and the Margos have been doing it just as long, if not longer. They've been on the touring circuit for a long time too, and they go and back up other artists too all the time. Like they go out with other artists and they play in their bands, as do I. I'll play keys in other people's bands too when I have free time for my own tours and I'm looking for a gig, right? So we're all hustling one way or the other.
Yeah. Remember how like Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley, when they would tour, they would just like hire some local band in every city and just show up and maybe do a sound check rehearsal, but it would be a different band every night with those guys.
See, that's cool too, and a lot of artists still do that. And one thing that I've learned too is to make sure you have you have players. Make sure you know players and musicians in different regions, because if all of a sudden you need to throw together a full band show, a one-off full band show in West Texas somewhere, like you're not flying a full band from Nashville to Texas for one show,
right?
Unless you're getting paid $60,000,
right?
So you learn to by touring, you meet all these different pockets of musicians and music communities, and then you create bands. Like I've got players on the West Coast that I'll hit up. I've got players in Texas that I'll hit up. Got players in the Carolinas that I can call up if I ever need a player and my band can't come with me, right? So that's also part of the game and part of the efficiency too.
Yeah. And I will add, like you're talking about when you play solo acoustic, the only people that can pull it off are people like yourself. I recently saw Brian Dunn play solo acoustic at Beat Kitchen, and it's those people who have the really strong songs are the only ones that can pull off the solo acoustic thing, because when it's just you, the song is all you got, man, and you have them. So I think I can see it definitely working for you.
Well, playing in Nashville, when you come up in the Nashville songwriter scene, it's songwriter rounds, right? So you're up there in some loud, noisy bar, and you're on the stage with 3 other writers on a stool with a microphone, and you don't get a sound check or anything. You just plug your guitar in and you play, and you play your 3 songs, and then you get off, and then the next 4 go up, right? So like in that environment, it definitely behooves you to like figure out how to connect with a crowd that has zero intent on focusing on anything besides whatever they're drinking in their hand, right? Like you get these moments in some of these songwriter rounds in Nashville where it's a big old crazy, honky tonk, and you got a songwriter round on stage, and someone steps up there and they have a very special energy or a specific message to tell. And people have different ways of getting attention in a loud, crowded room full of drunk people. But yeah, it is. It's the power of the song that gets people. So in specific moments, you have people that go up and they silence the entire bar, with how special that song is. They're also great singers and guitar players. Probably that doesn't hurt. But when you have an opportunity to be in that scene and environment constantly and learning from it, succeeding and failing on certain nights, you become trained, right? Like it's part of your schooling here in Nashville. It doesn't matter what you're trying to do, trying to be a publisher. Like a published songwriter, like go out and get your songs cut by, pop stars. Or if you want to be the singer-songwriter and the artist going out telling your own stories, you have to go through the gamut of being in a songwriter round in town for years to feel what it's like to play and have nobody give a rat's ass, and then to play a song that is really powerful and people is very accessible, that people gravitate to, and silencing an entire room when you have no business to do that, which is very cool. Nashville is crazy, and it's networking on steroids, and it's a pain in the ass, but there's, and I only say that because there's a lot of folks in this business that get let down. There's a lot of folks that come to Nashville and chase their dreams, and they go home with their tail between their legs. They just aren't, either they aren't cut out for it, or they just had shit luck. Mm-hmm. But it's still like the best proving ground for songwriters. Like it's you don't have to come to Nashville to be a good songwriter, but if you make it through Nashville, you're going to be a good songwriter.
Right. The fire refines you.
Totally.
At some point. So let me ask about your 2023 record, Drink the River. On side 2, you've got like an emotional murderer's row.
Yeah.
To take, since the World Series just ended, to take a baseball analogy, with Marigold, Lidocaine, and Evelyn. And am I saying that wrong? Is it Eveline?
Eveline is correct.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. I get asked about that all the time.
But was that intentional when you're putting the track order in line to hit those beats? Because those are like gut-wrenching, emotional songs. Was that intentional with that tracking?
Yeah, so sequencing is so important to people who still have great reverence for the album, the full record. So, we could put out, like, these days people put out damn near half the record in preparation for the final record drop. So, but that's part of winning over the algorithm, and part of just staying relevant and making sure an album gets the max attention that it should get. All that to say, in that, when you release near half the record as singles and then drop the other half on the full record release day, it can kind of detract from like your sequencing, like which songs come after which songs, because that's so powerful from a storytelling aspect, to open up a record with a specific message, to lead them down a trail, to surprise people, to break their hearts, to build them back up, and then to have a culmination, to have some sort of, great conclusion. As a writer, growing up, I went to a high school, and I went to a high school that had really great writing teachers, and it's very similar to that. You have a thesis. When you attack an essay, you have to develop a thesis before anything else, because what are you trying to prove? And then you have to have points of arguments. You have to have points that you're trying to make, at least 2 or 3. So your intro, your thesis, your points of argument, and then your conclusion. Right? How are you going to wrap it all up? So, in classical music, like what I was raised on, playing piano, it's a similar thing. The way a song flows through the different movements, there's a system to it, and it makes sense because it's a way to control energy. So sequencing on a record is so important. And it's funny, when we finish tracking a record, my producers will put together a sequence, and then I will also blindly put together a sequence. And sometimes I'll ask my friends to listen to the record and put together their own sequence and see how they would like the songs to come out. And almost all the time, there's a lot of agreement on what should be first or last, but it's what it's in between, right? What's in between that's tough. What kind of roller coaster do you want to take them on? And a lot of times it's tempo. So how do you want to control energy? Well, the easiest way is rhythm and tempo. Obviously, you don't want a whole bunch of slow songs together, and too many fast songs together, they all blend together. So having a good mix between the two is important. I happen to write fast songs and slow songs, so we have enough to kind of put in between each other, so that when we can break you down with a sad slow song and then build you back up again with something that might be sad, but at least it moves and it's a little more heartwarming and not just depressing. That second half of that record, yeah, it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal, especially if you're listening to every word and you're taking in the stories. You're dealing with some really tough things. You're dealing with cancer and death and the loss of family members. You're dealing with dementia. You're dealing with the loss of memory, which is something that I combat as a songwriter. One of the most important things I say from the stage is a songwriter's whole will and intent and responsibility, besides making a buck, it should be to keep memories and stories alive. So lidocaine, yes, about memory loss, which is a storyteller's worst enemy, the loss of memory. Eveline, which is about the things you wish you could change, all the mistakes that you wish you could go back and fix, the cringeworthy moments. So yeah, that back half of the record is tough. It absolutely is. And I don't know that it was when I wrote the songs. I don't think I never intended to put them all back to back or close to each other. I think it was just the way the energy flowed in the record and the sequencing on it. There wasn't a whole ton of positivity on that record to begin with. So it was kind of hard to break songs up with happy moments, right? Property Line is probably the most upbeat, kind of happy feeling song.
Right. It's got the most humor there.
Yeah, exactly. But I still throw that in there. I give it to the listeners to have something to kind of smile to as the record closes out with, while being haunted by all the terrible heart-wrenching things that they've heard on it. That was the point of that record, man. Because I couldn't put a lot of these songs on another record. I some of these songs had been around forever. I just didn't know. I didn't know where they were going to go. I wasn't going to put them on Hometown Kid or Honky Tonk Hell, and they didn't have a home yet. And then when I wrote enough of these story songs about people that I'd met in my travels and folks that I'd grown up with, people that had inspired me, and people that I wanted to be like, and people that I didn't want to be like all the people I grew up around. And then, of course, my travels, and then my time spent as a bartender in Nashville for almost a decade. All these different stories that came around, they finally all had a place together on this ring. Which which is probably why like there's so much suffering on that record, because dang, like the world is full of suffering. People are willing to open up about their suffering a lot, more so than their successes. I think, you know, when I was a bartender all those years, like, I mean, yeah, the alcohol is a trigger, but you know, most of the stories I heard were about people having a tough time, right? Very, very, very rarely was anybody ever sitting down at my bar coming here saying they won the lottery. Most were talking about how they fucked up. And so the world has this underwhelming, underlying current of misery. That's the river. And so I put that record together to build a bridge of empathy, to help us get across it, because the suffering in our existence is undeniable. We see it every day. We scroll past it every day like it's nothing. And so how to remind people that that's there, but that also, you know, they have an agency to acknowledge it, but then they have, you know, the ability to overcome it, right? Having the I guess the emotional stability and intelligence to recognize it, but also overcome it without ignoring it. I think that was the whole purpose of that record. So yeah, the Heartbreakers, they hit hard on that second half for sure. Sorry about that.
It's beautiful. I mean, it's a work of beauty. So no need to apologize. But when you're telling somebody else's story in a song versus, you know, working out your own feelings, do you feel a different sense of responsibility to the story than you do if it's something that you're just working out for yourself?
Yeah, it's actually very it's very fun as a songwriter to relieve yourself from that pressure of telling your own story, because you can always infuse your own emotions into someone else's story and tell it the way you want to hear it as a writer. You know, all of these stories are drawn from specific moments and people and places. But while I do name some places and people, you know, I'm still keeping some anonymity to it. And that's kind of what the point of sharing these stories is like, yeah, it's about one person, or it might be inspired by one person, but it's about everybody. And so when you start to write songs that are more open-ended in that sense, to where it's like not limited to my personal experience, my personal emotions, my personal feelings, that's why all these songs ended up on this record together, because I spent the last 3 records talking about my feelings, my perspective. And this was a way for me to also not only invite people to consider more empathy in their general day-to-day, but also for me as a human being to surround myself in the message of empathy and its importance to our culture right now, which I think lacks a lot of empathy. So, yeah, I mean, I would say that as a writer, it is extremely beneficial to your songwriting chops to get out of your own head and write the story of others. Because you can always like reach back in and take a kernel of your own thoughts and, you know, plant it there and tell your own story through someone else's as well. In that way, also intertwining your message with real life events that you're incorporating and announcing in your record. Again, these songs are about one specific thing, but they're also about everybody.
Yeah, saving country music. I saw they had a review of Drink the River where they use the term poetic ambiguity for your songs, where they're like about these specific stories, but they're also general enough, or there's an opening in there where anybody can relate to it. And I think as a songwriter, man, that That is really hard to do. And the fact that you can pull it off well and consistently, man, that's a tribute to your songcraft, man. Really got to tip the cap for that.
Well, that's the Prine thing, right? There's the human element, and there's the language, the accessibility of the type of language he uses. I mean, John Prine told stories in a way. John Prine wrote songs that anybody could sing at pretty much any venue or situation, or he wrote songs that could be sung and played pretty much anywhere by anybody, and someone would connect to it. Mm-hmm. So, in that same sense, I was definitely, I've been definitely mentored by that way of writing songs, especially. But it's tough too, because then you're writing extremely difficult subject matter. At times, you're writing songs that maybe you don't want to sing. And then sometimes it's so specific, right? Like the cancer thing. You're writing something so specific that, or the dementia thing. Like you're hitting a nail that's so specific that it resonates extremely strongly with certain individuals, and they want to connect with that song. They want to hear it, and maybe a song's so damn sad that you don't want to play it that night.
Yeah.
That can be difficult too. Prine was for someone who was so original and able to break down the human condition in pretty much every one of his songs. One of his biggest songs is Spanish Pipe Dream, is about a soldier who fell in love with a stripper. So like there's so much great connection that he makes in his music. And despite the saddest shit songs that I write, I still hope that people are connecting to them. And I hate to think that people are connecting with them just because they're sad, because that's not the intent. I need folks connecting to the music because it makes them better people, right?
And I think even like in the entirety of the album Drink the River, in the song Drink the River itself, I think is the nugget that ties it all together and keeps it from being like, a pit of despair where you're saying, and I can't drink the river to dry the land, bury the ocean beneath the sand, but I can love you until the tide pulls me under by and by. I mean, there's the empathy and there's the solution, man. It's like, it's there, it's not your Drink the River is not a pit of despair. It's pulling back the covers and looking at everything and still, finding love that the tide can't drag away.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't have put it better myself. Good job, Tom.
So that is, and that's where it's like, man, I dabble in writing songs, but it's being able to get, in the aura of a Gabe Lee, who has just done some beautiful, wonderful work that, that I get near that fanboy thing. So.
Well, thanks. I didn't know you wrote songs. That's cool, man. You'll have to tell me more about that later.
Yeah. It's fun. I know it's a hobby because, I didn't have the direction. So, I am where I am, and I know regret.
You just haven't had your heart broken enough.
Yes, that's what it is.
That's what it is.
But anyway, so Gabe, I mean, maybe this is a good time to wrap it up.
Okay.
It's been such a treat to get inside your head a little bit and see how the sausage is made, as they say.
Yeah.
But so you want to briefly give a heads up for some of these collaborative projects that might precede the next solo record?
Well, there's nothing really set in stone, but I will just wrap it by saying, you know, I spent, if there's any songwriters, you know, listening, I spent a lot of time writing, you know, just dialing in on my own message and songs and, you know, my voice and, you know, focusing on my artistry, right? That's all so important. And I basically refused to co-write for a long time, and not a refusal to collaborate, because I mean, shit, all I've done in my career, I think, is collaborate. So it's not a lack of collaboration, but it's more like a disinterest in sitting down with other writers and trying to write a song. Nashville has a method for that, and that method can be like kind of not sexy, right? Because you're just, a lot of folks sit down in Nashville and try to write the next, you know, hit country pop song, and I mean, that's how hit country pop songs are written. So there's something about that turned me off for a long time. But the collaboration is something that I am now really opening up to more and more. Co-writing, releasing songs with other folks. These are all things that, as an artist, as a songwriter, they help you grow. And as someone that is waist deep in the scene and in the industry, I highly recommend it. It's very fun. I've learned a lot from it. I've learned a lot from opening up more to co-writing this year. And it's not like I'm sitting down trying to write a Luke Combs song. I've started to open up to, you know, buddies of mine that I trust and love, that people that I would go get a beer with, that I know that I can sit down and work on a song idea. A lot of times in Nashville, there's folks that want to write with you. You know, you don't know them from anybody. You've never met them before. I don't even know if they're a good person. I don't even know if I'd have dinner with them or lunch, you know, and they want to write a song with you. And I'm like, well, I don't know anything about you, brother. So over time, I've started to open up more to that and just be more receptive to that community, because even though it's a little repetitive, and a lot of these, you know, country songs kind of come out of this vein, at least the ones you hear on the radio. I've been convinced. I've been convinced that you can still create good art when you're collaborating with others and sitting down and sharing song ideas. I've been doing that. I've done that more this past year than I've done my whole career, and I've enjoyed it. So yeah, there's some ideas we have in the works. I mean, the wedding song was released as a collaboration with Brian Elmquist from the Lone Bellow, which is a great band, and Brian and I wrote that song in a matter of minutes and put it out together. He sang on it and played on it and helped produce it. So, you know, little by little, those collaborations are huge. You see a lot of Americana country artists now collabing a lot. You know, an artist with a huge following will give a leg up to that artist that's about to make it big, and you'll see some great collabs. Right. Like 49 Winchester and Maggie Antone or Caitlin Butts. Like, they're all helping each other out, which is really cool. Helps everybody kind of, you know, get to the next level. So yeah. Collaborating is definitely on my mind for sure, but I've got a new record I'm working on, and little by little, we'll see where it takes us, but the hustle continues. And the grind never stops.
And you're still touring, I take it?
Oh yeah, always. I don't know when this specifically will be released, but at the end of 25 here, I've played over 100 shows, and I've got another 10 more. I'm going through the Southeast one more time with my buddy JD Graham, from St. Louis to Mobile, Alabama we're going to wrap it up in Raleigh, North Carolina. So a good amount of touring left this year, and then we'll see what next year brings.
Excellent. Got a lot of irons in the fire, and we'll just keep our eyes peeled.
We'll come back to Chicago.
Right on.
Yeah.
I'm counting on it. All right, Gabe. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute treat. I don't know what else I could say, but a heartfelt thank you.
Thank you, Tom. You're the man.
All right. We'll see you down the road.
See ya.